Tonight, a Canadian family's terrible loss. An Ontario woman working in the Bahamas, one of the victims of Hurricane Dorian.
Terrifying.
Also, a little girl's hard lesson about the danger of discarded needles. Bianca Andreescu aiming to make Canadian tennis history.
And Canada votes. Party leaders are out in force. The unofficial campaign is on, and At Issue is here. This is The National.
One of the strongest Atlantic hurricanes on record is still beating a menacing path north tonight. After days of warnings, widespread evacuations, panicked preparations, Dorian is now dangerously close to the U.S. East Coast. This hour, it's being felt in the Carolinas, and we want to take you there in just a moment. But first, we're learning of a Canadian who was killed in the storm in the Bahamas.
She was the anchor of this family.
Alicia Leoli was 27 years old, originally from southwestern Ontario. She was living and working in the Abaco Islands when Dorian hit there a few days ago. But look at these images taken from above. Thousands of homes reduced to rubble. It's not totally clear exactly what happened to Leoli. We do know the rest of her family, her husband and children, including a toddler, are safe.
She was a heart-giving person to everyone.
After graduating from Ryerson University, Leoli got involved with a nonprofit in the Bahamas.
We've worked with them to overcome many of their issues.
She ran a program that helps young adults with disabilities.
Alicia's one of those people that you quietly regard as an angel. She was extremely sensitive and compassionate and loving.
Right now, Alicia's family is working to have her body returned to Canada, and they are asking for privacy while they grieve. Now, it's hard to believe we're still only just beginning to understand how bad things really are in the Bahamas. Tonight, the death toll climbed again to at least 30, and that number will almost certainly continue to rise. Stephen D'Souza is on the ground with the latest.
Hour after hour, the survivors arrive, some broken and battered. The shock and trauma of what they endured etched into their tired faces.
Everything's gone. Everyone's just trying to see what they can salvage. No one has anywhere to stay.
For every reunion, there are those waiting desperately for news.
I just got to look at anybody and just say, hey, you know anything? You know anything? You know anything? You know what I mean? And it's ridiculous.
Aid groups are doing what they can given the conditions as people wait to be rescued.
It's getting very chaotic. Some of them, like I said, they're losing their minds. They want to leave, and they're looking around. Where's the plane? Where's the plane?
The fear is how long those stuck in these conditions can hang on.
People are looting, breaking in the stores, fighting one another. Tensions are high, and in the next couple of days, it's going to get worse.
Along with the rescued, bodies are collected. The health minister says the death toll, once all are accounted for, will be staggering.
We saw some dead bodies, some floating, some trapped under buildings. So as a police officer working and seeing that from Saturday to now, to me, it's devastating.
U.S. Customs and Border Protection are among those helping on the ground. But questions are starting to be asked about the effectiveness of the Bahamian government's response. At the airport, those questions are put aside for the moment as another family is reunited.
What was that moment like when you saw her?
You don't know. You don't know. I can't even explain it. Trust me. Mind-blowing.
One bright moment for those who've lost everything, unsure of what comes next. Stephen D'Souza, CBC News, Nassau, the Bahamas.
Now, Dorian has weakened since it left the Bahamas, but it still packs a powerful punch. Let's take you now to Charleston, South Carolina, where Ellen Morrow is riding out the storm.
Dorian's threat today became reality. Its fierce winds making child's play of metal awnings and downing power lines across the city.
Hurricane Dorian blew into Charleston as a Category 3 hurricane, bringing with it wind gusts higher than 100 kilometers an hour.
But even as streets became waterways with houses boarded up, A recognition here that everything could have been so much worse, especially for those strolling in the storm.
We're largely in the clear. I imagine this will be our last big squall we have. You can tell how often this happens. We're somewhat casual about it.
Here we go. Let's see where the next drain is. Oh, there it is, right there. Right there.
Casual and civic-minded, John Rivers is taking his kids from drain to drain, clearing debris, what's become a yearly hurricane ritual.
We thought it was more important to be here and try and do what we're doing than to drive off somewhere into North Carolina or Georgia.
Not going to North Carolina, a good idea. Dorian spawned tornadoes in that state today. And North Carolina will bear the brunt of the storm overnight.
Hurricane Dorian's power has arrived in North Carolina, with wind, rain, and tornadoes lashing our state. We are feeling the storm's force, but it has only started.
Here in Charleston, though the rain is still falling, the cleanup has already begun. Ellen Morrow, CBC News, Charleston, South Carolina.
Now, moving further up the coast, bear in mind that Atlantic Canada is going to get a taste of that fury this weekend. By the time it gets here, Dorian will likely be either a Category 1 hurricane or a strong tropical storm. But make no mistake, those winds will still push hard, sustaining up to 130 kilometers an hour. That's according to the Canadian Hurricane Center. On Friday, the storm is forecast to track off North Carolina, and it's on Saturday. It should be moving near Nova Scotia, then on to Newfoundland and Labrador on Sunday. Okay, as we speak, the tennis world is watching an emerging Canadian star tonight. Bianca Andreescu is playing the U.S. Open semifinals. And so this is a really big deal. At just 19 years old, she's the first Canadian to get this far in singles in the U.S. Open in 35 years. So far, Andreescu and her Swiss opponent, Belinda Bencic, are evenly matched. Now, win or lose tonight, she'll be ranked in the top 10. And just to give you an idea of how astonishing that is, consider that this time last year, she was ranked 208th. So, Greg Ross is just outside Arthur Ashe Stadium in New York, where that Canadian tennis history is in play. So, Greg, can you give us an idea of just how big this is for her?
Well, I can tell you, I just walked out of Arthur Ashe Stadium. I was in watching this massive stadium, 23,000 capacity in there, and it's almost full to watch this young Canadian. And she looks very much like she belongs in the semifinals of the U.S. Open. And that first set's with Bencic, both players holding serve, forcing a tiebreaker, and that's where they're playing right now, in a tiebreaker in the first set. And right now, Bianca Andreescu is looking pretty good. She dominated this tiebreaker earlier on. We'll see if she can hold on to win that first set. We saw that she lost the first set in her quarterfinal match yesterday. This would be a big win if she could win that first set in this semifinal match tonight to possibly set up her going to the finals, becoming the first Canadian in the singles draw to advance to the final of a U.S. Open.
Yeah, and so spectacular game to watch, I'm sure, no matter how you slice it. But for those who haven't been following Andreescu, can you paint us a picture of just what she's managed to accomplish?
Well, just an incredible accomplishment for a 19-year-old. You mentioned just how far she was down in the rankings, and to be in the top 10 now after this week. She won at Indian Wells back in March, and then had to deal with some injury problems that kept her out for the better part of 4 months, but came back in August, won on home soil, won the Rogers Cup, and now here at the U.S. Open, she remains undefeated. And I'm just getting the word that she's won the first set here of her match against Bencic, so off to a great start against the 13th seed here, looking like she is on her way to advancing to the finals, where she would indeed face Serena Williams in what would be a rematch of the Rogers Cup final last month.
Gosh, okay, well, that's something. Greg Ross in New York, thanks so much. Okay, time to go to Rosemary in Ottawa now, where the countdown to the election is on. Pretty exciting time, Rosie, and the party leaders there out in full force.
Yeah, 3 of them are holding rallies, in fact, tonight, which sounds an awful lot like what you do during a campaign, doesn't it? Even if it hasn't officially started yet. But where leaders spend their time can tell you a lot about their strategy, too. Justin Trudeau is speaking to supporters in Brampton. That city has 5 federal ridings, all won by the Liberals in the last election. They are part of those critical 905 ridings around Toronto, including Mississauga. They're vote-rich, usually vote as a bloc, and often determine who forms government. Andrew Scheer is in Laval, Quebec tonight, more specifically in the riding of Vimy. It went Liberal in the last election, but the incumbent pulled out of the race just a couple weeks ago without much explanation and lots of questions, something the Conservatives might be trying to remind people of. And Jagmeet Singh ends his day in a nearby Montreal riding. It's currently held by a Liberal MP, but it's a place the NDP have managed to win in the past, and Singh is already trying to stop the bleeding in Quebec. But the NDP's struggles go beyond Quebec. In New Brunswick, and the Green Party's attempt to capitalize on them led to accusations today about playing some ugly politics. It involves the Greens' announcement earlier this week that 14 former provincial NDP candidates had defected to their team. It was reported by the CBC, among others, but as Evan Dyer reports, now we know it is not quite true.
This, indeed, is a good day for New Brunswick.
At first, it looked like a major coup for the Greens at the NDP's expense. It wasn't long, though, before the mass defection began to look a little less massive. As of now, 5 of the 14 candidates have denied leaving the NDP and denied joining the Greens. But the Greens say that was only because of strong-arm tactics by the New Democrats.
Now, we've learned that some of them received phone calls from the federal NDP pressuring them to back out of it or say they'd never agree.
Those candidates say they were backing a merger, not a defection.
What we were told was something like a meeting to inform us about forming like a union with the NDP and the Green Party.
Joyce Richardson, who did jump ship and tried to persuade others to join her, denies having talked about a merger.
Well, it was very clear because we weren't merging. I wouldn't have told them something that wasn't it. My understanding that they misunderstood me, so I'll leave it at that.
She says her decision was driven by the NDP's poor prospects, provincially and federally.
We leave because we want a voice in the legislation and we want the voice up in the Parliament building. And we don't see it coming out of the NDP, but we have hopes that maybe the Greens will get there and we'll have a voice there.
Today, the New Democrats went on offense.
Well, I mean, this is a fiasco that the Green Party started. They put out a list of people. They spread some false information, and I think really the question has to go to them.
The Green Party leader says Singh should ask himself why his troops are deserting.
And in the same time period in which Jagmeet Singh has been leader of the New Democratic Party, I visited New Brunswick 3 times, and he apparently hasn't been there at all.
Neither party comes out of this spat looking good, but it's the NDP, with no confirmed candidates in any of New Brunswick's 10 ridings, that looks the weakest. Evan Dyer, CBC News, Ottawa.
It is Thursday, and At Issue is back in its usual spot. I'm happy to tell you, Chantal, Andrew, and Althea are here to set up the election and other things. That's in about 15 minutes, Andrew.
Sounds good. Okay, just when it looked like the politics around Brexit couldn't get any crazier, well, today it got personal. Prime Minister Boris Johnson's own brother quit both cabinet and as an MP. Cameron McIntosh takes us through it from London.
His ever stoic gaze upon Britain's parliament, what would Winston Churchill say today? When even the seemingly full-time Brexit demonstrators look tired of the drama.
Can you tell us when you're planning to resign? I haven't got any further comments.
Meet Joe Johnson, younger brother of Prime Minister Boris Johnson, quitting cabinet and politics. Tweeting today he was torn between family loyalty and national interest.
Are you completely at odds with your brother, Mr. Johnson?
And off he went,
See you, folks.
leaving his brother at what was supposed to be an unofficial campaign kickoff later in the day, dealing with family matters.
Joe doesn't agree with me about the European Union because it's an issue that obviously divides families and divides everybody.
It's the latest in what has been a tumultuous week for the UK's new Prime Minister, who lost his first 4 votes here in Parliament, had 21 of his own party members vote against him, who he's since sacked, and had another MP cross the floor to another party, taking away his parliamentary majority. It's not even Friday yet.
Worst Prime Minister? The headlines are not kind. as he appears cornered by an opposition bill requiring him to extend the Brexit deadline.
Now be an election.
He's doubling down, calling for an election. Loyalists say he's the only person who can deliver Brexit.
The collective view of our party is clear. We want to leave the European Union.
Opponents see an opportunist reshaping the once broad-based Conservative Party.
What we've seen with the Conservative Party is a descent into narrow factionalism and tribalism.
A man who reveres Churchill included Churchill's grandson in this week's purge of dissident MPs. As he struggled in the Commons, there was a smirk from Theresa May, the woman he replaced at 10 Downing. One thing is certain, Brexit will make or break him. So what about that extension?
I'd rather be dead in a ditch.
Let's see if Friday brings even more political drama. Cameron McIntosh, CBC News, London.
Well, back here at home, a hard lesson for a little girl in Toronto, and also a good reminder for parents and children everywhere. Now, she and some friends found a discarded syringe and decided to use it. It's a horrifying thought for any parent. Now, the kids are being treated for potential exposure to hepatitis B and HIV. But here's Shannon Martin to take us through what happened.
We poked it and then
It's a big lesson for a little person.
You poked your hands with the needles? Mm-hmm. What did it feel like? It felt a little holding.
The 5-year-old was playing with 2 friends behind her school in the west end of Toronto. They were in this alleyway when they found some needles.
And then what happened? Then we told the teacher and washed our hands with soap.
Lily's mom, Amy, raced over. The kids were piled into an ambulance and taken to hospital.
They were vaccinated for hepatitis, and then they actually had a transfusion for hepatitis B to protect them from that.
And now Lily and her friends start 28 days of drugs for HIV prevention.
It's hard to believe it's happening. It's terrifying.
The school's custodian sweeps the yard and playground every morning. While the syringes were found just beyond the schoolyard, the school board says staff will now do its best to keep an eye out.
I find it very important to remind the students that, and kids, that if anything they find around, that they do not touch.
An important message this mom hopes will reach other parents.
We hadn't talked to Lily about not touching needles specifically and showing her what that was and the dangers of that. So we regret that. We hope that it doesn't happen to other children.
How do you feel right now? It doesn't hurt right now. It just the tape, I keep itching on it.
Hopefully, that's the worst of it. Shannon Martin, CBC News, Toronto.
Okay, we're back in 2 minutes. Ian's next with more developing news. Plus, they've caused problems in cities around the world. Now, e-scooters are coming to Canada and later. Starting university or college, it can be a stressful transition. We'll look at how some schools are trying to make it easier for struggling students. Welcome back. Let's get you to the National Newsroom in Vancouver now. Ian is watching developing stories across the country.
And Andrew, let's start in Montreal, where police say a woman is safe after being kidnapped at gunpoint this morning. Officials say she was in her car when a man armed with a handgun approached the vehicle. He told her to drive to the city's south shore, but at a nearby stoplight, she jumped out, ran into a store for help. The suspect arrested shortly after. Police say the victim knew the man through her job as a social worker. One of the big stories in the Maritimes today involves a Cape Breton man facing 4 charges in the hit-and-run death of a 10-year-old girl. Emotions running high as relatives of Talia Forrest showed their support at the Nova Scotia courtroom. A memorial marking the spot where the 10-year-old died in July after being hit by an SUV while riding her bicycle.
She should be going to grade 5 today, but she's not here. She should be here.
Among the charges, impaired driving causing death, the case put over until November the 1st. And in Moncton, health officials have confirmed 4 more cases of Legionnaire's disease in an ongoing outbreak. That makes 16 total cases of the severe form of pneumonia. Most patients have been hospitalized, some in intensive care. The regional medical officer says the source of the spread has been identified and cleaned, but still more cases could be confirmed. And we'll have more stories developing tonight in about 25 minutes. Andrew?
Well, Silicon Valley has made a big bet that the next transformative technology is scooters, electric scooters, for rent, on the fly, for cheap. They promise to revolutionize urban travel. They've got their share of critics too. But as Thomas Daigle tells us, Canada's biggest city is in line to hop on for a ride.
Here they come, zipping into Canadian cities one by one and into this privately owned district of Toronto for the first time today.
It's like being on a bike, but, you know, just, it's better. It's like you channel your inner little kid.
Electric scooters aren't allowed on public streets in Ontario yet, but with regulations under review, they could soon be invading this city.
They're using an environmentally friendly solution to get around. They're solving a congestion issue. Like, there's a lot of huge benefits for a city that creates that so-called mess.
Yes, they have made a mess in other cities where e-scooters were dumped willy-nilly, even in a wading pool in Edmonton. When they came to Montreal last month, the city was ready.
It hasn't really turned out to be the scooter apocalypse we imagined, mainly because the city's done a good job of restricting the number of scooters that have shown up in the city of Montreal.
While Montreal gave e-scooters designated parking spots, that didn't fully solve the dumping problem. And there's more trouble, too.
E-scooters are usually unlocked using an app. Users have to accept a long agreement that says they'll wear a helmet and take other safety precautions. But in other cities, those safety steps have been ignored all too often.
Take Calgary, where e-scooters were introduced in July. This doctor says since then, riders have made nearly 350 emergency room visits. And he's one of the few who wears a helmet.
You're in a vertical position, and especially if you are using the scooter in a non-recommended area. So for example, on a street with vehicular traffic, that's really quite a risky proposition.
Problem is, either riders don't stick to the rules or regulators can't keep up. So Ontario's pilot project will run for a whole 5 years. Thomas Daigle, CBC News, Toronto.
And up next on The National, Rosie is here with the season premiere of At Issue. And of course, they'll be talking about the election. Could be called any day now. So how ready are the parties? And later, a first for opening night at the Toronto International Film Festival. We'll be right back.
Thank you all for being here tonight.
The election campaign hasn't officially kicked off, but tonight's rallies and town halls are definitely giving us a sense of what's to come. So time finally to bring back the At Issue panel for an extra busy season. Chantal Hébert is in Montreal, Andrew Coyne is in Toronto, and Althea Raj is here in Ottawa. And I'm so pleased to see you all. You don't believe me, but it's true. Okay, so we're waiting for the writ to drop, obviously, a favorite game in Ottawa and political circles to try and figure out when that should be. So let's just start with that question around timing and what, not necessarily what you're hearing, but what would be the advantage to calling it, you know, this Sunday or next Sunday? Chantal.
I think voters won't notice whether it's called this Sunday or next Sunday. The opposition parties, though, will, because as soon as the election is called, they start getting more equal coverage with the Liberals, and the government loses the aura of the Prime Minister making an announcement, and Justin Trudeau becomes the Liberal leader. So up to a point, it's to the Liberals' advantage to run the clock. I'm not saying till the 15th, but there's no real advantage to the government rushing to call the election.
And do you feel, Andrew, that they are ready? Because if it's the Liberals' prerogative, then I guess that's the question, whether they're ready or not.
Well, they haven't appointed or nominated all their candidates, Freudian slip, all their candidates as of yet. Surprisingly, for a governing party, for a party governing good times, you'd think they'd be all ready, but presumably by the deadline they'll be all lined up or close to it. But yeah, I think they may foment a pretext of saying, let's wait until after the Manitoba election. That gives them we're being respectful, et cetera. But I agree with Chantal, though, they'll delay as long as they can.
The two Manitobans care about that election. That's Andrew and I. Althea, what do you think?
Well, there's a big advantage to going later in the sense that the government is still the government. Cabinet ministers get to basically campaign on taxpayers' dime. David Aiken, our colleague at Global, tallied up that just since July, like July and August, the Liberals have made more than 5,500 announcements, totaling more than $15 billion. So, you know, the longer they can do that, we're obviously focusing a lot more on them when they get to do that. And then they can go to the polls and tell Canadians that stuff they just announced, well, the Conservatives are going to take it away from them. So there's certainly a big advantage to going later.
Okay, I want to talk a little bit about this latest episode for the NDP, this issue with the defectors in New Brunswick. Not all of them who actually said they were leaving the party were leaving the party. And not about trying to sort that all out because it's complicated, but what it tells us about the state of readiness of that party's war room, because it took them 2 days to figure out that this wasn't accurate. Chantal, what do you think is going on there?
Well, first, I think many of us who follow politics otherwise closely were astounded to learn that Jagmeet Singh had not found his way to New Brunswick a single time since he became leader. That's rather strange. Also, the election is about to be called. The date has been on the books for 4 years, and the notion that the NDP has not appointed, nominated, found candidates in New Brunswick and PEI is striking. I find it even more striking that in this province, Quebec, where they elected the most MPs, they are still missing more than half the candidates that they need. So overall, it speaks to an absence of readiness. And no, I don't think that it's because they've got star candidates hidden in their back pockets that they're only waiting for the call to suddenly stun the country with.
What do you think, Andrew? There seem to be a myriad of problems that the NDP has as they head towards this election.
Yeah, when their best talking point is only 9 officials have defected, not 15. That's not a great news cycle for them. I agree with Chantal. I mean, they're having trouble finding candidates for the same reason that a lot of their star candidates, their star MPs, are retiring. Is that this is at best a save the furniture, and maybe worse than that, campaign looming for them. I think it's something like 150 nominations they still have to fill with their election just about to be called. Fundraising, they are trailing badly behind the other parties. They were never totally at level with them, even in their best times, but they're now about, I think, raising about a quarter as much as the Liberals, a sixth as much as the Conservatives, and about the same amount as the Green Party, with whom they are increasingly level pegged in the polls. So it shows you just how far they have fallen from that time when we thought just 4 years ago that they might form a government.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. The change from 2015 to now is sort of shocking, Althea.
Well, today Jagmeet Singh came out and he said that in a few days they were going to have 302 candidates nominated, and they are about 180 now. So you're wondering what the vetting process looks like. And October 1st is basically the day where if you're on the ballot, you can't get pulled out. So, expect, I assume, some bozo eruptions, more candidates that have peed in cups, or like the Liberal candidate in 2015 who said that smoking cannabis was good for your baby. There's just not going to be that sort of thorough vetting that we've seen in the past. The NDP quietly tabled their annual report from last year. They're $4.5 million in the hole. Yeah. And so I think that the fact that they're so late might just speak to the fact that they don't have any staff. Yeah. They don't have anybody to do this work.
Let's be clear here. I've covered campaigns since 1979. I've seen the NDP have bad years and better years, but I have never seen anything like this.
Yeah, I've only covered the NDP for 15 years, but I would agree with you. So let's move to the Conservatives if we can. They've got a full slate. They were the first party to have one. They say that Andrew Scheer's been, practicing debating for months, that they're ready to go. What does that tell you about how real an opponent they will be to Justin Trudeau, to Singh, to May, to whomever? Chantal, start with you again.
Well, it's Andrew Scheer's first campaign, and he used to be the Speaker in the House of Commons, so he didn't spend a lot of time in the media fray for all those years. Mm-hmm. So I think he needed the practice. I'm not so sure that the prepping is the main concern that the Conservatives should have going in. I think the summer has been better to the Liberals, despite the Ethics Commissioner's report, than it has been to the Conservatives. They seem to have hit the ceiling, and they're challenged for growth, and they need growth in Ontario, Quebec, to actually make it to government. So I'm curious to see how he does do in real life in a debate. I think it's going to matter.
Yeah, Andrew, I wonder if they thought that last ethics report that found the Prime Minister had done things wrong. I wonder if they thought that was going to be more than it was, or if they misread that somehow, or if there's a way for them to get that back and take more advantage of that.
Yeah, I don't know how much they were counting on it. It did do him a lot of damage in the spring, but what damage was done seems to have been done before that report, and it didn't really change much beyond that, except to the extent that we'll have to see, has it continued to erode people's general beliefs about Trudeau, not the specific issue, but their general perception of them. And that's one of those things you find out during the campaign, whether he's able to work the old charm again or whether it falls flat for him. So the Tories have got, they've got lots of money. They've got all their candidates nominated. They've got a strategy of focusing on affordability. They're lacking much in the way of a platform, a real raison d'etre for why they should form a government as opposed to why you should be sick of the existing government. And they don't have a particularly compelling leader. And much as he may have practiced and much as they may have tried to introduce him to him, he's better known among Canadians now. He's certainly not better loved, and he certainly hasn't been terribly impressive. So he's got a mountain to climb, if you will, in this campaign. As usual, of course, if you come in with low expectations, as Justin Trudeau did in 2015, you've got the opportunity to exceed them. But you actually do have to step up your game once the writ is dropped.
Althea.
Well, I'd say there's an advantage that Andrew Scheer has, is that the Prime Minister's personal popularity numbers are really low. So many people think the government is on the wrong track. I, like the rest of you, have been crisscrossing this country, and people are really upset with the Prime Minister, whether it's progressives on the left who feel like he sold out his climate change agenda. He promised them that social licenses to communities if they didn't want to have pipelines, and he went out and approved the pipeline twice and then purchased it. Or it's people on the right who are upset about deficits or upset about ethical failures. Like, I think the SNC-Lavalin was a big boost to the Conservatives. They weren't able to, frankly, take advantage of it because the Liberals beat them at opposition research with that video about same-sex marriage in Andrew Scheer's own words. But I think that report was worse than most people here in Ottawa expected.
Yes, it is true that Trudeau's image has suffered, but he's very fortunate that it's between him and Andrew Scheer. I think he would be in huge trouble if someone like Thomas Mulcair were still leading the NDP. But at this point, there is no point in pretending that the race for Prime Minister is between only two people.
Yeah. The trouble the Conservatives have, they have the most solid base. I mean, that 33% or whatever it is pretty rock solid. They have the least upside, at least at present. And you would think, to the extent Liberal support is soft, it's mostly soft to the left. There's a lot of people who are quite aggrieved with the Prime Minister, but they're mostly on the left for reasons why they don't think he's done enough on the environment, for example, or enough on Indigenous issues. So again, unless we hear something more from Scheer and the Conservatives as to why centre-right voters who went with the Liberals in 2015 should leave them now, then it's hard to see how he gets a whole lot of upside from there.
But it seems like the Liberals are going to do that work for them. I mean, frankly, if at the moment what it looks like we're going to be fighting election campaign is the Conservatives saying, we're going to give you tax cuts and tax credit and focus on affordability and making your life cheaper, and the Liberals are saying, we're going to invest more, then, those blue Liberals might abandon the Liberal Party and vote for Andrew Scheer. And the Liberals are hoping that the Green and the New Democrats will come back to the fold when they see that Andrew Scheer can possibly become Prime Minister. Okay. It's like the same playbook year after year.
I got to leave it there. I would just add, it will also depend who shows up, right, for the Liberals, and not whether the people, whether they go somewhere else, but whether they vote at all. So there's something else to keep our eyes on. Okay, I'm so glad you're all back. So we're just going to do this every Thursday now until it's all over, and then we'll continue. Okay, thanks everybody. Before we go, be sure to subscribe to At Issue, the podcast. We've got lots of extra content there. You can see it on iTunes, any major podcast app, also on our website, cbcnews.ca/thenational. And something else I'm doing every Thursday, Elamine Abdel Mahmoud and I host our new podcast. It's called Party Line, so you got lots to listen to while you're working out. We also want to tell you about a new political panel we'll have throughout the election every Sunday on The National. We'll bring together 3 strategists who have been on the inside. Here's a preview for The War Room.
My name is David Hurley.
My name is Shakir Chambers.
My name is Michael Hay.
I formerly worked for Harper's Prime Minister's office and for the Ontario government on Doug Ford's election campaign.
I ran 2 national campaigns for the Liberal Party under the leadership of Paul Martin.
In 2017, I was Jagmeet Singh's leadership campaign director.
I'll draw on my experiences to help you understand the strategies and tactics that will help win over voters during the campaign.
I have a very strong understanding of what the public environments are that will drive this election campaign.
I know the leader, I know the party, and I know what's at stake in this election.
This election will be divisive.
And the last one for at least 2 of the major party leaders.
This election will be historic.
And we'll be right back. Next, easing the transition to life on campus. Leaving home for the first time can be stressful and to some young people, harmful to their mental health. We'll look at what's being done to help them. This week, 2 million people headed for college or university in Canada, many leaving home for the first time, and that can make a serious problem worse. Adolescents and young adults are especially vulnerable to mental illness and substance abuse. And so CBC Health reporter Vic Adopia takes a look at some of the efforts to help.
8, 9, 10, woo!
The countdown is over for first-year students, plunging into new beginnings and new challenges.
We just want to get to know you better.
A mock intervention, training for the second and third years, spotting the signs when a new student is struggling. Like other universities, Western has had its share of first-year suicides, and it's students like these who are at the front lines of mental health care.
If we notice a change in their behavior or if they're isolating themselves from the floor, like we're continuously checking in on them.
At another campus, along with the water bottles and pencil cases, a support kit for panic, anxiety, and stress. Small personal comforts and flashcards offering reassurance.
It's okay to
The kit's creator says the cards aren't just words, but self-counseling based on the latest evidence.
So I really wanted to design a product for people like me in first year university or in later, wherever stress happens, to teach them what to do in that moment of need.
That need came during Chan's first year, when the pressure for high marks was too much to bear, and she didn't know how to ask for help.
I eventually, well, unfortunately, developed depression and anxiety and had lots of panic attacks.
There's clear evidence about growing levels of mental health problems on campuses, but only theories as to why. One is just the sheer number of students attending university and college compared to years past. Another is that young people aren't as experienced at facing adversity.
Sometimes we hear about helicopter parents, where parents are doing too much for young people. So when they make this transition out to university on their own, whether they live at home or not, they're actually not able to sort of take on the full level of responsibility, or they find it overwhelming when they do make that transition.
This psychologist studies mental health during the transition to adulthood. Her research shows students who do extracurricular activities integrate better socially and are the most resilient.
We know that students who can, get to university, get to college, they can find a new group, they can find an activity, and they feel connected to the university, are more likely to feel better and be able to cope with the stress and challenges.
And learning to overcome those challenges is part of the ride to a happier adulthood. Vic Adopia, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, Ian will be back after the break with more developing news, and later, the Toronto International Film Festival kicks off with the story of Robbie Robertson and the band. We're back in 2 minutes.
I'm Jamie Poisson, and tomorrow on CBC's daily news podcast, Front Burner, as Hurricane Dorian continues its path of destruction, we have 2 very different portraits of hurricane recovery, and the one thing they have in common. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to the National Newsroom in Vancouver. We're following developing stories around the world, including the investigation into Monday's tragic boat fire in California.
We are not ruling out any possible ignition sources. We are focused on everything.
Investigators still conducting interviews and creating a timeline as they try to determine what caused the fire. But a preliminary report suggested serious safety deficiencies aboard the vessel. 34 people died in the fire, only 5 escaped. Italy now has a new government, but it's one few people ever expected to see. The Prime Minister, Giuseppe Conte, and his new cabinet sworn in today. The ministers come from two rival political parties that teamed up in an unlikely coalition to avert new elections. Last month, the previous administration collapsed when Matteo Salvini's far-right party pulled out of that coalition, trying to force a vote and take power. And China has approved Canada's choice for a new ambassador in Beijing. Dominic Barton confirmed by Chinese officials today, but China also urged Canada to, quote, reflect on its mistakes and to immediately release Meng Wanzhou. The Huawei executive was arrested last December, triggering months of diplomatic strain, including the ongoing detainment of two Canadians in China.
The arbitrary detention of Canadians is unacceptable to us.
The Prime Minister was blunt in his response, accusing Beijing of using pressure tactics to try to secure Meng's release. The Toronto International Film Festival is underway tonight. After the break, how the opening film, a Canadian documentary about a legendary band, came to be. We're back in 2 minutes.
It's a story of a collective, once we're brothers. I mean, it is about a family.
Filmmaker Ron Howard on the red carpet as the Toronto International Film Festival roars back to life. He's one of the producers of Once We're Brothers, a documentary about Canada's Robbie Robertson and his time with the band. And tonight, that film opened the festival, giving real prominence to a genre that's on the rise. But as Deanna Sumanak-Johnson tells us, the gods of rock don't trust their legacy to just anyone.
I think about Levon, Richard, Rick, and Garth all the time.
When it came to adapting Robbie Robertson's memoir into a documentary, young director Daniel Rohr might not have been an obvious choice, but he believed he was the best.
I will give this everything I have to give. I will die before it's not great.
More importantly, Robertson believed he was the right man for the job, too.
His dedication and his loyalty to doing this as good as he could possibly do it. It was something that just gave me the confidence and feeling of, go get him, kid.
The result of that collaboration is the first Canadian documentary to ever open the Toronto International Film Festival. That speaks to the rising prestige and some would say the golden age of music docs.
But just how many of these docs offer honest, unfiltered views of the stars they profile is another question, since many are now produced by the musicians or their record labels.
The entertainment stuff is very hard.
It's a battle Canadian documentary filmmaker Barry Average knows all too well. He's profiled moguls like Harvey Weinstein and Garth Drabinsky in the past, and his new doc premiering at TIFF is about Canadian music producer David Foster.
If you're a documentary filmmaker and you don't have the wherewithal to deal with the egos and the machinations of dealing with talent management, then you're dead. Then pick another topic.
The young director of Once We're Brothers says the vision was his, despite Robertson's record label providing some of the financing.
What Robbie's life really embodies is that we have the agency and power in our own lives to invent ourselves, to be like, this is who I want to be.
And it looks like some of that vision rubbed off on Daniel Rohr, who went from being a fan to the filmmaker. Deanna Sumanak-Johnson, CBC News, Toronto.
And the moment is coming up right after the break. Tonight, it's all about a little boy who wants to help people caught in Hurricane Dorian. His generous offer, next. Jermaine Bell is 6 years old, turning 7 next week. He's been saving his money for a birthday trip to Disney World. But when Hurricane Dorian hit South Carolina, forcing people from their homes, Jermaine got another idea. He decided to use the money to help feed evacuees passing through his hometown. And so it was goodbye Disney tickets replaced by hundreds of hot dogs and bags of chips. But his selfless act is our moment.
Free hot dog! My name's Jermaine Bell and I'm in South Carolina giving out free chips, water, and hot dogs to people that are going to different places to live because of Hurricane Dorian. I wanted them to have some food to eat so they can enjoy the ride to the place that they're going to stay at. Pray for your house.
Please. He actually even prayed for our family while they were here in reference to their house being okay when they got back. So that was really tear-dropping. They couldn't take everything, and we were able to have a house, so that's the blessed part that he should be thankful for.
I wanted to be generous and live to give.
This is a good child. Like, the parents here are doing a good job raising a kid who thinks like this, is aware of other people, and thinks that he can help them. And if I were the parent, I would say, I'm going to give it to you anyway. Right. I realize you saved up $50, but you will get this now.
Are you suggesting even a little bit that this is part of the ploy on the part of the kid?
No, but that's another point you could make, Ian.
You're
Off
terrible.
You go.
No, I wasn't implying that. I was just checking to see if Rosemary did, and I
Not
wasn't
even
sure.
me.
Yeah, no,
But, yes, a very sweet moment.
Yeah, no, I'm with Rosie. I cannot even begin to fathom from where a 6-year-old summons that kind of emotional maturity and compassion. But my eldest kid is 5, so I still have another year to teach her what's right. That's the National for this September 5th. Have a good night.
Night.